our post-match press conference after that victory over the Emirates Lions. We'll start with the guys online. We'll take 4 questions from the guys online, and then we'll come to the floor. We'll take hands. I don't see any hands. Jan?
Thanks. Can you just flip the screen a bit?
Sure.
There we go.
All right, thank you. Okay,
Awesome. Thanks.
perfect.
Jake, yeah, I mean, obviously, a great win. I know that there's probably things that you think you must work on, but I mean, it's a hell of a better start than you had last season. You had a bit more continuity with the pre-season.
Yeah, I just said now to the Supersport interview, I mean, I've got no doubt the Lions would have targeted this game from a point of view. They would have had 10 weeks, you know, like anything. Put the Bulls opening game as one of their priorities. And so, you know, obviously I knew it was always going to be tough, Jan, and it always is tough here at the Lions. I mean, it's a difficult place to win. You know, they obviously play a style that suits them. And it's a difficult side to break down and get rhythm in your attack. So, you know, I looked now and I saw Cardiff won in Cardiff against Munster. I think last night Benetton won in Benetton against Glasgow. So to get an away win is obviously a massive bonus for us, because I mean, that's the sort of trend of the tournament. You're going to have to get a couple of away wins as well. So yeah, I'm very happy. I think we probably left a couple of points out there, but I enjoyed the way we showed composure. The 15-3 up, it looked like, you know, we probably could, you know, let our hair down a bit and have a go at them, and then all of a sudden 15-all with about, you know, 25-30 minutes left to go. So the way they sort of showed their composure, you know, put the reserves on, and I got the feeling they sort of got cohesive, and that always is difficult because you don't want to put reserves on when you sort of up against it. And I think again we won in that area tonight.
Later.
There's a quick follow-up, Jake. I know it's quickly after the game, soon after the game, but are there specific areas that you will go look at to maybe rectify?
Yeah, I just think, well, you know, I think nothing that we're going to have to. I think over time it'll come right. It's just the ability to transfer pressure into points. You know, often we had line breaks and then we made a pass into touch, or maybe made one offload before, you know, we had to, or you know, a couple of times I looked there, we probably ran into the midfield when we could have gone around them a few times. So yeah, I mean, I think it's just as we create those pictures more and more in pressure situations, I feel that our players will be good enough. You know, it's the first time we've played that back line, and the combinations were a bit different, purposefully as well. You know, I know Kirtley where he can play, I know where Kanan can play, you know, I know where Goosen can play. I've got to try and get a back line together that can be adaptable in different positions. So, and that's going to come over time, but you know, obviously not going to be that cohesive from day one.
Leighton?
Thank you, sir. Hello, Jake. Jake, just on the team, and if you look at last season's performances, where do you think the guys kept the pump up in what areas of your play, and then what areas of your play do you feel you could focus a bit less on, looking ahead to the competition, and other areas that you do need to focus on more?
Leighton, I think one area I was really happy about is the way we defended and the shape in our defence. I think often we put them under pressure because we had numbers on our feet going at them. They knocked a few balls on based on the fact that there was pressure from the visual pictures they were getting defensively. I think the way we changed our defence, and I'm not going to get too much detail about that, changed it in parts of the field and in parts of our game, put them under pressure as well. Attack-wise, as I said, you know, you always want the perfect attacking game, and you know, I thought we started off really well, and you know, our backs looked like they sort of cohesion was good enough. But as you know, as the game sort of unfolded, I thought at one point I was writing down, I think we conceded about 6 penalties in the last sort of 8 minutes of the first half, the second part of the first half, and that just creates pressure, you know. And a lot of those penalties were forced by the fact that we probably overplayed in our own half. But saying that, you know, I don't want us to go into kicking the ball down the field. I want us to be comfortable that we can keep the ball, and I want us to be good enough that we can outwork people in the first half of a game to get rewards in the second half of the game. That's one thing I learned from Leinster is that they don't necessarily open you up early, but the point is going and going and going and going and just understanding the pressure like wave after wave is the thing that creates the uncertainty at the back end of a game. So Leighton, in a long sort of way, I'm happy with the defense, I'm happy with the attitude of having numbers on our feet, and I'm happy the way we attacked. I just think, as I said, we could have been a little bit more understanding of the spaces behind at times.
Any takers for the last questions for the guys online? None? Okay, thank you very much. We'll then go to the floor. We'll go to the floor. Brendan?
Jake, it was just the new combinations, guys like 1D and Spoo, that obviously they look like they really were looking at. Ron from Market said a great run there. Just some thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I just gave them each sort of memorable gift of their debuts for the Bulls, 5 of them. So obviously them and Francois Kloppers and Mossy. I think Mossy obviously a bit fortunate that he unfortunately had to come off so early. But I'm happy, I think again, the cohesion, as I said, it takes time. And obviously coaches, you always want that everything to click on day one, and you want that to be sustainable for time. And I mean, as I said, I repeat myself, as I said just now, I know what Wilson can do at 10, I know what Kanan can do, I know what Kirtley can do. I've seen Cornell at 12, I've seen Cornell at 13. So my point is I want to try different combinations and see whether or not, because there's no ways we can play the same 7 backs or the same 8 forwards every weekend as well. So I'm quite keen to see Ruan playing 7. He's obviously played 8 for the Lions here in the Super Rugby game, but it's nice to know that at least he can play 4 lock or 7 or even 8 if I have to, because the more adaptable our team is, the better it's going to be for us going forward.
The other thing is that tried Cornell's there. I mean, showed great enterprise there. I mean, most teams would probably just taken the 5-meter scrum against them just to keep it all alive like that.
Yeah,
shows
exactly.
That the guys' attitude is,
exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, obviously you guys see it's a build on from last year. We scored lots of tries last year. I think we were second most in the competition, and I don't want to go away from that. As I said, I say to them at half time, we're playing too much rugby in a half, but I know that the holes are going to open, and have those passes stuck 2 or 3 times, then all of a sudden you haven't played too much rugby in your own half. You've basically played clever rugby. So it's one of those. As I said, I'm happy we've got to win. The momentum's now started. We've got a home game next week. Hopefully the Loftus will be full, and then, as I said, then we can get better and better.
What are you expecting from Boyson this season? Because I suspect it's a significant.
Yeah, Liam. I've coached lots and lots of players. He's a phenomenal rugby player. I've coached Scott Berger, I thought one of the best players I've ever coached. I've coached George Smith as a back. I mean, he's just in another league. He runs. I think our defence is also good because he runs in the opposition team against us at training, and we're not sure what he's going to do. So we can defend him and people around him in our training sessions. Then we probably have a good outing on our defensive set. So as soon as he's ready to go, I mean, I think the thing I want people to understand is part of the discussion I had with him, I want him to get back in the box setup. I think he has a desire to play Test rugby. He has a desire to maybe go to the World Cup next year. And so we don't want to rush it. And I just said to him, obviously you don't have to be on the field now. You just got to trust me, and we'll find the right time and the right combinations for you to be on the field. So it's a little bit of as I said, it's a little bit of work in progress for him, because I also want him to mentally to understand he's happy, I'm happy, medical staff's happy, and then you can go for it. But what I'm expecting is, I mean, you saw what he did last year in a small space of time, new guys around him. He's got it. He's definitely good. He's a phenomenal rugby player, and I'm hoping that's the catch. I need him to get on the field while other guys are rusty too. I don't want him to come with week 6, week 7 when everybody's now obviously got game time under their belts and talk about opposition, and he's probably a little bit shy of time on the field. So it's a balancing act for us to see when we want to put him in and obviously get the timing right.
Yeah, time.
Yeah, look, I think to be fair, sooner rather than later, because of that factor, Liam. I mean, as I said, I don't want him to come in week 5, 6 when everyone's already battle hardened. The other thing is in week, we've got 1, 2, in week 4, we play on 4G pitch. And I don't know if I want to put him back on a 4G pitch against Glasgow. And I'm saying that from the point of view, just mentally again, that's where he got injured. There's a lot of talk about 4G pitches. So again, I either have to wait until post Glasgow to see how he is, or I might have to do it earlier rather than later to make sure he's got some game time, not getting bashed in week 6 and 7.
And one year fullback, what was the thinking there, and then did he tick all the boxes?
Yeah, so Wendy, I mean, obviously he's a Jeppy boy, so I know him well. I've known him since he was at school. He's a good footballer. I think he got a scholarship or he got a bursary or whatever it was to play professional football, I think at Chiefs. So I mean, he's got a feel about football, and I chatted to him and I just said, look, you need to play more than one position. You can't just play outside centre. Fortunately for you, you've got Lukanya on there, and Lukanya was probably the best outside centre in the world. And so if you want to play at a high level, I need you to play in different positions. And I thought he was all right today. I mean, once or twice he probably got caught out on certain things, whether it was space or whether it was understanding of what to do defensively and attacking wise. But he'll get better. As I said, he's got feel, and he's I rate him as a rugby player. And the more he plays and the more he gets to communicate with all the guys around him, the better he's going to be.
And then we see that you hardly kicked out of hand the entire game. Is this a new style of rugby perhaps this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think we could have kicked a bit more. That's what I'm saying. I think sometimes there's a lot of talk this week that the Lions are fit and they run around the athletics track at the sports track there, and I thought, well, there's only way to challenge that is to see how fit they are by keeping the ball and seeing whether we can put them under pressure. Considering they had 10 weeks, and again, that's just the way it was, and we had like 5 weeks to prepare. I'm quite happy with the way our fitness held. I think we look like we had match fit. We haven't had a hit out. We played against each other in a sort of 40-minute chukka situation. So that's the first time we've played rugby since the final, and I was happy with the way they showed their fitness.
And then how easy or how difficult it was to play here in the height of summer for this open?
Look, for us it's fine because a lot of our guys, if they're not here, they're hunting and they're in the bush, so they understand the heat. I think from those other seasides are going to come here. It's going to be interesting to see how the Scottish and the Welsh and and obviously those players who are coming from the cold up north are going to adapt, not only now, but December, January when we're playing in the European Cup as well.
One of the positives of today's game was the scrum. What kind of improvement are you expecting from the football? Speaking to Rowan and Julian on Thursday, they were pretty chuffed in terms of how they've improved, but clearly from the dominance that the Bulls had, it was a case of different seasons but same problems from the Lions.
Well, let me say this. I mean, it's the 8th game in a row that we've conceded a penalty in the first scrum. So, I mean, I'm not quite sure. I can't understand why. Because sometimes we go up, sometimes we go down, sometimes we go backwards, sometimes. So I'm going to have to find out why we almost give a penalty away in the first scrum of a game. But you're right. After that, it looked like we were, as I said, we were comfortable in the scrum. So I think Werner Creer has worked really hard. I think we've got a dedicated scrum coach, and he's worked specifically hard on the front row. And I think the new laws as well, this breakfoot, is we're probably adapting to that, which again, I'm saying it probably for all teams starting in the first week of the competition, this breakfoot is going to be something that you're going to have to adapt to. And maybe, we were just, as I said, today we were good enough to adapt, but differently to what we would have had if the laws were the same. So and that's an exciting part for us as well.
Jake, how have you got your head around planning for the season? Just for URC, it's very different to Super League. This competition seems to sort of go on fits and starts. To get your guys sort of up and running fully, and you get momentum and rhythm, those things that you want the team to do. How do you sort of plan for that?
So the one thing, Liam, I'll say is that I was lucky I was at Montpellier, so I have first-hand experience of playing a European Cup and in another competition. And knowing that, I have a comfortable feeling about you have to take some chances. You can't. It'll catch you. It'll catch you if you think you're going to be able to keep the same group and you think you're going to hold on. Because eventually, when the rewards come at the back end of the competition, when you're in the playoffs, you end up with no players, and it can basically be work for nothing. So one thing I'm doing I'm very big on is the training sessions are game-like. Training sessions are competitive. Training sessions are almost a trial for the team that's not playing to show me they're good enough to play in a game. So I've challenged them. I said, I don't want you to get confidence from me by saying I'm going to pick you. You've got to give me confidence by when I see how the training sessions go, it makes no difference which jersey you have for me to get confidence that you can play in that level. It'll give me no greater pleasure over this next year to go a whole new team play next Saturday or the following Saturday, and you've got 2 weeks to prepare. So this is the team. You start preparing. All of you are going to play, because what it does, it creates competition, but more for me, it creates hope. Hope for a player. There's nothing worse than just being there as an extra player all the time. And we've got to get to a point where out of our 50 players, everyone feels they've got a chance to play a game. So, and how do I do that? Continually try and put pressure on them to say, show me, show me, show me. At training, the competitiveness, the standard of training. I think everyone understands if you're training against this team and you train well, it means that you should be good enough to play another team. And that's that. So I'm very open about it, and I'm challenging them to challenge me. Say, right, we're ready.
We'll take the last two. Take us. All good. Thanks, ladies and gents.
Perfect.
I can have another one, maybe.
Sure.
Jake, would you say it was fair, or would you think it was fair to say that in the first 20 minutes of the second half, it was almost like the Bulls got sucked into playing a game that the Lions wanted them to play?
Exactly. I'm glad you picked that up. I think what happened was we almost got sucked into that style, and there's no, the way the Lions play, guys, is they're very scrappy and they're very competitive at the breakdown, and they don't mind, if they lose that battle because they'll make it scrappy. But what they can't afford is not to put numbers in the ball on the breakdown and give you space and time. And with that comes different challenges, because what you can do is you either stay up and don't go to ground, which again has its problems as well, because they can hold you up, or you have to find another way in which you can move the ball quickly out of that breakdown, because if you move it quickly out of that breakdown, they're basically short of numbers on the outside. And I think what happened was, when we were 15-3 up, I think we got sucked into the fact that this is going to be easy, and it got tougher and tougher at the breakdown as well. So, credit to them. That's part of how you got to adapt as a team. And I just said to them when I came now, I said to them, I really enjoyed the way we stuck to what we had to do. I enjoyed the way we found a way to play against them at the back end of the game. I enjoyed the way that we went from 15-3 to 15-all and never lost control or composure. I do think we got sucked into it, but that is what Lions teams do. They've done it to teams last year. Last year they beat the Stormers. And who would have thought Stormers ended up winning the competition? So it's never easy against the Lions, and as you say, we found a way to get sucked in and then to get out again, which I'm happy about. Thanks
very much, Tony. Thanks,
guys. Thank you.